Welcome to Whip Check. This is where we break down the newest rides so you get the essential info fast.
Get you up to speed?
Exactly. And today we're diving into the 2025 Mercedes-Benz G580 with EQ technology. It's the electric G-Wagon finally here.
It really is a big deal. I mean, the G-Wagon, it's such an icon, right? Seeing it go electric, that's something.
Totally. And you want to know what makes this electric version tick, what's different. So we've gone through the reviews, TheStraightPipes, AutoTrader, Doug Demuro to pull out the key stuff for you.
And it's not just like an engine swap. They've really thought about the EV aspect, adding features you just couldn't do before.
Right, like that G-turn thing we've heard about, a tank turn, basically. Sounds kind of wild.
It is wild, yeah.
And keeping that classic G look while packing in all the new tech, we need to unpack that. The reviews are mostly positive, but, different takes, different focuses.
Yeah, definitely some nuances.
Okay, let's jump in. First things first. What are we actually calling this thing? Is it the EQG?
Good question. Officially, it's the G580 with EQ technology. Bit of a mouthful, maybe.
G580 with EQ technology,
Yeah. Seems they ditched that EQ to G name maybe to keep it firmly linked to the G-Wagon family people know.
Makes sense. So where does it sit in the lineup? You've got the G550, the AMG G63. Where does this electric one land price-wise, performance-wise?
So Doug Demuro mentioned a figure around, I think, $170,000 to start for the Edition 1.
Okay, so not cheap.
Definitely not. That puts it above the G550, but likely under the top dog G63. Kind of a premium, tech-focused middle ground, it seems.
Right. And performance, how does that electric power stack up against, say, the G63?
Well, horsepower is actually pretty similar, around 580 horsepower for both.
Okay.
But the torque, that's where the electric power really shows. The G580 has something like 860 pound-feet. The G63 is around 640, so way more twist.
Wow, okay. Instant electric push.
Exactly. But there's a catch, the weight. This thing is heavy. We're talking nearly 6,900 pounds.
Whoa. Compared to the G63.
The G63 is around 5,800 pounds, so over 1,000 pounds heavier.
That's significant. Must affect the acceleration then.
It does. 0 to 60 is still quick, like mid-4 seconds.
Yeah.
But the G63 is quicker, high threes.
Gotcha. So massive torque, but the weight kind of balances out the raw acceleration compared to the AMG.
Pretty much. It's more about that effortless surge, maybe. And, that weight might even help off-road, make it feel really planted. It's an interesting trade-off.
Yeah, interesting point. Okay, let's talk features, those unique G things, the G-turn, the tank turn. How on earth does that work?
Right, the G-turn. It uses those 4 individual motors, one per wheel. Basically, it spins the wheels on one side forward and the wheels on the other side backward.
So it just pivots.
It pivots, yeah.
Yeah.
But activating it isn't just one button. It's a whole sequence.
Oh, really? Like what?
You got to be in rock mode, then engage low range.
Low range in an EV.
Yeah, it's like a virtual low range using the motor transmissions. Gives you max torque control. Then confirm neutral, hit the G-turn button, hold a paddle shifter for direction, then hit the accelerator, keeping the wheel dead straight.
Wow. Okay, that's involved. You really have to mean it.
You really do. It's not something you'll trigger accidentally.
So what's the point? Is it actually useful or just cool?
Well, the cool factor is huge. Doug Demuro seemed pretty blown away by it. It looks amazing.
I bet.
But practical. Not so much. It's strictly for off-road, on loose stuff like gravel. Try it on pavement, you'll shred your tires.
Okay. The TheStraightPipes guys were probably joking about the tire build then.
They were, yeah. And Doug also noted it kicks up a ton of dust and can really tear up the ground underneath, so. Cool demo. Maybe useful in a very specific tight spot off-road, but mostly for show.
Seems like it. Makes you wonder if we'll see more kind of niche features like this with EVs.
Could be. Pushing the tech envelope.
What about G-steering? That sounds a bit more practical.
Yeah, G-steering seems genuinely useful off-road.
Yeah.
It works by braking the inside rear wheel in a tight turn.
Okay.
The vehicle kind of pivots around that locked wheel, makes the turning circle much, much tighter. The TheStraightPipes described it almost like a controlled drift at low speed.
Huh. I can see that being handy on narrow trails. Instead of three-point turn, you just pivot.
Exactly. Much more elegant way to handle tight spots using that individual motor control.
Okay, cool. Now, sound. Electric cars are quiet, but this has G-roar. An artificial noise.
It does, yeah. Mercedes cooked up this sound signature. They say it's like a mix of a V8 rumble and a spaceship kind of hum.
V8 and spaceship. Interesting combo. How does it actually sound?
Surprisingly, Okay, apparently. The Straight Pipes guys seem to think it was pretty convincing, not too fake or annoying. It gives you some of that audible feedback you lose otherwise.
Right, that sense of power. Can you turn it off if you just want peace and quiet?
Oh, yeah. Totally controllable. It's in the infotainment system, under vehicle settings, somewhere you can just switch it off.
Yeah.
And it changes with drive modes. Louder in sport, quieter in comfort. And it actually turns off automatically in the off-road modes, like rock.
Ah, so you can focus on the terrain? Makes sense.
Right. And there's also this other thing, G-Aura. Seems like some kind of ambient sound it makes when parked.
Okay, customizable soundscapes. Very modern. Let's dig into the powertrain itself. You mentioned 4 motors, each with its own transmission. That sounds complex.
It's definitely a unique setup. 4 motors near the wheels. Each gets its own little single-speed transmission. That's the key to getting that low-range capability we talked about.
Right, for the off-road stuff and the G feature.
Exactly. Allows really precise control over each wheel. And the battery powering it all is pretty beefy, 116 kilowatt hours.
116 kilowatt hours. Okay, so how does that all feel on the road? And what about range? That's always the big question.
Well, driving feel, again, it's that instant torque. Super smooth, very strong pull. The all-wheel drive with that individual wheel control should mean amazing traction.
And regen braking.
Yep, adjustable levels using the paddles, plus an intelligent mode that adjusts it automatically based on traffic and stuff. Standard adaptive dampers too, so the ride should be pretty refined.
Okay, range. What are the numbers looking like?
Bit of variation here. Doug Demuro mentioned an EPA estimate around 240 miles.
Okay.
AutoTrader quoted the WLTP number, which is usually more optimistic, at 285 miles. So real world, probably expect something closer to 200, maybe a bit more depending on how you drive.
200-ish sounds realistic for a big, heavy box like this. And charging. How fast can it juice up?
Supports up to 200 kilowatt DC fast charging. AutoTrader called it okay, decent, but maybe not the absolute fastest out there compared to some newer EVs.
Right, 200 kilowatt is decent, but not class-leading anymore. Okay, let's talk looks. The G-Wagon is its look. How much did they mess with the formula?
They were clearly careful there. The boxy shape, the overall vibe.
Yeah.
It's unmistakably G-Wagon.
Thank goodness.
But there are changes, subtle ones mostly for aero. The grille is different, more closed off, upright, fewer slats.
Her efficiency, right?
Exactly. The hood has a bit more of a bulge. They reshaped the A-pillar slightly, added a tiny spoiler at the back on the roof. All about smoothing airflow, reducing wind noise.
Makes sense. What about the back? Is the spare tire still hanging on the door? That's so iconic.
You get a choice now. You can have the traditional spare tire totally, or you can option this design box.
A design box?
Yeah, it fits where the spare goes. It's meant for storing your charging cables. Apparently it lights up, locks with the car. Kind of neat, techie alternative.
Huh. Okay, options are good. What else is different visually?
Well, no side exhausts, obviously.
Right.
The wheels are new designs, more aero-focused. You get some blue accents, trim pieces, stitching inside, that kind of thing, just to signal electric.
Yeah.
And a little EQ badge on the front fender.
Subtle cues. And inside, major overhaul or familiar territory?
Largely familiar G-Wagon feel, but updated with the latest Mercedes tech. So you get the new MBUX system, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that good stuff.
Finally, keyless entry.
Yep. Touch the handle, G logo on the button, and a proper start-stop button now, which the Straight Pipes guys seemed happy about.
Okay, what else?
Updated steering wheel, but it has those capacitive touch buttons. AutoTrader found them a bit annoying.
Yeah, those can be hit or miss.
Definitely. There's a cool new off-road display screen, too. Shows your tilt angles, camera views, including that transparent hood thing where you can kind of see through the front of the car onto the trail.
Oh, wow, that's useful.
Yeah. And rear passengers get climate controls, USBs, optional screens. Pretty well equipped back there.
How about space? Does the battery eat into cargo room much?
A little bit, yeah. Mercedes says about 3 cubic feet less cargo space than the gas versions. Rear passenger room is decent, plenty of headroom thanks to the shake.
And those heavy doors still need a good slam.
Apparently still quite solid, yeah.
Yeah.
But they did add a bigger vent somewhere to help with air pressure, makes them slightly easier to close, we'll see.
Okay. And ride comfort. You mentioned adaptive dampers. Smoother than the gas ones.
Generally, yes. The reviews suggest it's noticeably smoother and quieter. And surprisingly, they achieve that without using air suspension.
Really?
Yes.
Just conventional springs and those adaptive dampers? Impressive.
Yeah, seems like they tuned it well.
Okay, the big one. Off-road. The G-Wagon's reputation is built on this. Does the electric version live up to it?
That seems to be a major focus. It still has the ladder frame chassis, though modified for the batteries and motors.
That's crucial.
Absolutely. And those individual motors, huge advantage off-road. Precision torque control to each wheel means incredible traction.
Better than diff locks.
Well, it doesn't have traditional mechanical diff locks, but the way it manages power to each wheel individually can basically achieve the same result, maybe even more effectively sending power exactly where the grip is.
Interesting. What else for off-roading?
It's got the low-range gearing we mentioned, a rock crawl mode like off-road cruise control, and get this, better water fording depth.
Better.
Yep, 850 millimeters compared to 700 millimeters for the gas ones, because the battery and motors are sealed up tight and placed strategically.
Wow, that's impressive. How's the battery protected underneath?
It's in a really tough, torsion-resistant casing, and underneath that is a big carbon fiber shield. Super strong, adds weight, but lighter than steel would have been. Ground clearance is still good, 250 millimeters.
So it sounds like it's not just as capable off-road, it might actually be more capable in some ways.
Technically, yeah. The precision control, the improved weighting, it seems extremely capable. If off-roading is your main thing, this looks like it delivers.
Okay, but it can't be perfect. What are the potential downsides? We mentioned the weight.
Weight is definitely the big one. Impacts acceleration, handling feel to some extent, and potentially payload capacity, like AutoTrader noted for the UK's wheat rules. That could be a real issue there.
Right, regulations matter. What else?
Range, as we discussed. The real-world figure might be a limiting factor for some people on long trips. The G-turn. Cool, but niche. Doug Demuro had a minor quibble about a projection from the door puddle light saying G stronger than time. Found it a bit cheesy.
Ah, okay. Minor stuff.
And towing capacity wasn't mentioned in the reviews we saw. That could be important for some G-Wagon buyers. So, yeah, mostly weight and maybe range reality.
Gotcha. So for anyone thinking about a high-end luxury EV, this is a very unique, very heavy option.
Very distinct, yeah.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground on the electric G. Let's try and wrap this whip check up. What are the main things people should take away?
Okay, so the G580, it really is this blend of old school G-Wagon icon status and cutting-edge EV tech.
Right.
It keeps the look, keeps the off-road chops, maybe even improves them in some ways with 4 motors, and adds unique stuff like the G-turn.
But it's heavy.
But it's very heavy. That's the main trade-off. Weight affects acceleration compared to the G63, and the real-world range might be closer to 200 miles than the official numbers suggest.
So, Mercedes is betting you'll value that iconic presence, the new tech tricks, and the serious off-road ability enough to accept the weight penalty.
Seems like the bet, yeah.
And that's the goal of Whip Check, right? Giving you the quick, thorough download. You should now have a really good handle on what this electric G-Wagon is all about without digging through hours of videos.
Definitely. And it leaves you with something interesting to think about, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the template for electrifying legendary cars? You know, balancing that heritage with new tech. And are features like the G-turn genuinely useful innovation, or more like really cool party tricks?
Yeah, good question. Where's the line between useful tech and just showing off? Food for thought.
For sure.
Well, if you found this whip check useful, if you liked getting the essential info quickly, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more breakdowns like this.
Yeah, we appreciate the support. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in.